Today is February 19th, 2022. This is episode 183 of Maelstrom Radio. Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, Gladys and Shitter. And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Peter. With me, as always, is my good friend and co-host Quinton.
Hi, I'm really white today, apparently.
All right, well,
I need to tone down my lights.
They're gonna say I could tone down the Canadian.
Being Canadian is not why I'm white. I am white, therefore I am
Canadian.
I'm in lumberjack
I want
mode.
to
Yes,
comment,
that is
but I
the
don't
plaid.
want to be cancelled.
I had the beard earlier too going, but I'd shaved that first.
And with us, the Lore Boys. By the way, this is what the art scene is called. I called it Lore Boys, BOIS. Lore Boys, Anonymoose, and Seyrr of Phoenix Down Radio. Welcome, both of you.
I thought I was too old to be a boy with an eye. I don't know how I feel about
Well, I mean, really,
this. I'm going to have a bunch of feelings. You should keep going
Is
on.
it an age thing or a mindset?
That's even worse somehow.
As he sips,
It also depends.
He sips from his Starbucks cup.
Reality is constructed, and I want to keep the BOI going as long as I possibly can.
There we go.
Yeah.
It also depends on who's calling you, boy.
Can we make a
Yeah,
BOI
I guess
scale?
content-dependent boy.
Yeah.
Like soft boy, fuck boy.
Yeah.
I'm a soft bold
Soft
boy.
fuck-
I was
Apparently.
gonna say, yeah, soft bold boy.
Soft fuck boy? Is that a thing?
Susan
Wink?
says you're an
That's
old.
definitely the thing.
Yeah. Susan says you're never too old to be a boy. Question mark?
And anyways, yeah,
Well, welcome to Maelstrom Radio.
we're going hard from the start.
Yeah, really pushing it. Saturday's getting wild on Saturday. It's the afternoon. We're not tired from the week. We had like a long night of live letter and Lost Ark to hype us for today. So
True.
let's get into what we did this week. It was
Lightning
Lost
rounds,
Ark.
though.
It was Lost Ark. It was just
was
Lost
Lost
Ark.
Ark.
It was Lost Ark. You can join
No
Mr.
D&D.
Mokoko. No D&D this week. Lost Ark.
You did the Valentiones event.
I did with Susan. It was cute.
Is that good?
It was good. It wasn't bad. I liked the story. I like the storyline. If you missed our playthrough, you should go watch it. It's pretty funny. There's a chocobo who I call Chad with a K. And so you'll find out. Just go watch it. It's a lot of greatness. And also again, Lost Ark. You can join Mr. Mokoko on Regulus. Man,
We got a guild.
We have a guild.
And we're crafting a shop. It should
Yeah,
be
we're-
ready today.
Yeah, it should be ready today. That game is stupid fun. Like it's just fun. They did so much other outside of other things. They did a lot of fun things right. So that's right. I think that's our week. But
That's pretty much the week. Sarah, what have you been up to?
A lot of Genshin Impact, actually.
okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Good pulls.
I got Ganyu, who I had been saving for a very long time, because I love archery, and Spender was saying, okay, Ganyu is going to be the type of archery you like, and it turns out he was absolutely right.
That's fair.
He knows a disturbing amount about my playstyle, but hey, it means I get to shoot stuff and make arrows explode everywhere, so I'm happy. Also, random library things, because trying to figure out how library programs work when you're opening, but then everything's closed again, and all of the kids are just so tired of Zoom programs is kind of hard. And you still have the requirements for a particular grant that you need to put on a certain amount of programs, and maybe people actually attend them. Hi, I'm a librarian. This will probably come up at least twice more.
Cool. Moose.
Pretty much just work, unfortunately. I think this is the first time I've turned on my gaming rig in like 6 weeks, which is really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much like I'm trying to get like back to a normal rhythm with it, but yeah.
I've been there. I understand that a lot.
It's okay. Currently in the world of Final Fantasy 14, there's not a lot to do, so you can unless you're doing raiding.
I took time off. I ignored responsibilities. Like I just made space for new Final Fantasy stuff. And then once I was like confident that I had it all archived and could look at it on Google Docs wherever I wanted, I was good to just kind of like step back again.
Yeah.
But I hate that I have to.
I cleared P1S. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does. Congrats.
Yay.
Yeah. It does count.
We're working on Spicy Hippo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dissociation, not just the thing you do while watching the Endwalker story.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate.
Yeah. It's great.
In more ways than one.
So many feelings.
I like all the
So many
names for
feelings.
that thing. Like Tibiant calls it Soggy
Hippo.
Soggy Hippo.
I mean, to be fair, it is a horse, but
Yeah. Brain Hippo.
we have two really, really short news things.
We do.
We do. So last week, Palia finally announced what their business model is going to be. It's going to be free to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a whole nice blog post on it to be like, they're only going to charge for cosmetics. They're going to try to be very open about what they're going to do and what you're going to pay for. And also, one of the cosmetics you can buy is a fox onesie. So I'll be playing that day one and probably spending money on it. Yeah, it sounds like a really good business model. They're still in alpha. You can still sign up if you want to try to potentially get into alpha. I unfortunately have not gotten in and try it yet, but one day I shall. And then I won't be able to tell you that I have because usually they're under big NDAs.
I mean, you can say that you are in it. You just can't tell me what's in it.
Depends on the NDA, but yes.
Yeah.
And then we had the live letter 68 last night. That's why we pushed our show to Saturday so that we didn't compete with the 2-hour live letter that was actually about 4 or 5. And they split into 3 parts. We had the last 10 years, the next 10 years, and the 6.x roadmap, I guess. We're doing, what is it, like?
Grass.
I think we have 6.1 to 6.5. There's graphical updates that are slated for 7.0. That's not on the 6.x roadmap. They're trying to make Final Fantasy 14 better. They're going to do stuff more solo stuff, more group stuff. Try to like figure out how that is. Some new stuff with trusts. Like Chili mentioned in chat and Peter mentioned a second ago, there is going to be a graphical update for the grass to make it look real. But we no major information. We know Hildebrand's coming back. Island Sanctuary got pushed to 6.2. Data center travel is still coming before 6.2. And we'd have another live letter March 4th coming up. So 2 more weeks, then we'll be right back. This one's at a little bit more inconvenient time. I believe that's at 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. GMT.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the news.
Yeah.
And Moose just jumped right in with lore stuff right off the bat.
To recognize
what the real world lore stuff over in the chat, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the oldest people among us, the beta and early 2.0 forums were just awful. When they put
improved?
Believe it or not, yes. Believe it or not, this is actually, I mean, we're declining again, but we're better than we were when it first, especially the first few months when they first went live in like March 2011. It was just like months of all that built up rage, just blah on everybody. But in the changeover from 1.0 to ARR, there was like a lot of debate about where the graphical updates were changing and what things should be added and what things weren't. And there were a lot of discussions like, take teleport away from anyone who's not a mage. Like, there was a whole lot of really fun positions. And one of the guys just became a meme for that. He had to quit because the grass quality was too poor.
Mhm.
And for years, anytime anybody talked about grass, Rokian's name came up. So like as soon as that like comparison of side by side of the pixelated grass and the really nice grass came up, all the old schoolers I know started DMing me, Rokian can come back.
Did we really want him to?
Maybe.
I mean, if his only issue with 14 was that the grass wasn't high quality, then yeah, but compared to everyone else, that's a good take.
Some people
Moose
were
has to
adamant.
be- Moose
Go
has
ahead.
to be the nice person who's supportive of the community. I could be a little asshole.
Now I think I think during those first few months, I was mostly like, I think everything I said for the first 2 months in the forums was, look, 11's still there. If you like 11, go play 11. I want to jump and teleport.
No jump.
Just younger moose, just telling
Yeah,
people
younger Moose didn't have the community skills.
Yeah, younger moose is just telling people in forums touch grass.
Young Moose has opinions.
Touch grass even if it's more pixelated.
Well, we invited you
I
here
did-
not to talk about grass, I think, all day.
One more thing on that, I did really
On the
enjoy all
grass?
of the memes that came up with the graphic updates.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was the one with the grapes. We have the squapes and the high quality grapes. There's
yeah.
ones with like we put out our own about the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic Rogadin.
Yep.
The
The Lalafell and then just actual potatoes.
potatoes. That was a good one. Yeah. The memes that came out of this live letter were pretty good.
It's so good.
I am pretty sure at this point they are designing those slides at least partly with the meme potential there, with an eye towards this is how we will expect people to meme them.
Yeah.
I mean, if we would go back to FanFest, they were talking about how they deliberately make ultimate mechanics to be streamable and fun to watch people streaming. So they are definitely thinking about how these slides should be organized.
About having the whole oh, you got these things. Oh, there was a trick all along.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I love all of us were a few of us were in the general chat here last night, and Tivian was in our chat channels in Discord, and that Midlander, the Derplander, popped up on screen, the very realistic one, and all of us just immediately recoiled at this, what the absolute. It was beautiful, and then they played that long too. It was up there for a very long time before we're not doing this, and we're damn.
Really let the uncanny valley set in on that one.
That was too uncanny. Yeah, no.
Just
Although I kind of wish they did that with Y'shtola or one of the cat girls, because that would have been even creepier.
Oh no, because then somebody would have wanted it. That's the problem. Then somebody would have been on the forums well, actually, now that you showed me a cat lady with that face, maybe I kind of do want that.
Of it within 5 minutes.
Oh, that real quick. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I still remember back in FF11 when they released Scholar, and that was my first introduction. To wait, they made port of that how fast? So fast.
I'm so surprised that Uncanny Valley Derplander Twitter account wasn't created that night.
Someone's rushing off to do it right now.
Now,
you definitely should have done it before you said it.
Probably, or it's already there.
I'm surprised he hasn't made it.
The problem is then I gotta tweet on that a lot.
Also true.
So, and what am I gonna tweet? Don't trust me, I look too good, or what?
Just once a day, every day, you just tweet that photo.
That
doesn't have to be deep content.
just because you're HD Derplander doesn't mean you're any less Derplander. You just be Derplander. If the drunk Minfilia account could last as long as it did, you have a chance.
No, I feel like what you want to do is you want to start grabbing lines for Detroit Become Human or something. Come on, does it just not have that air? This is your mass-produced Derplander, ready to serve in your home. Until it overrides its programming.
Yeah. Oh, now see, that would be great.
It could also have the whole toilets with ominous auras vibe going.
Like a weird ARG of HD Derplander.
Oh no.
all of a sudden, like, then honestly, if HD Derplander led back into like a true ending for the near raids, that would be great. Like,
God damn it.
I into tactics a little bit just for fun.
And nobody would disagree. Like, if it just came out of nowhere with that Derplander, and everyone's like, "Damn it!" Now we got to do it.
Man, FFXIV toilets went for quite a while.
Tibian says we're not allowed to say beast anymore.
We did have a question. Like, do you think that the Omicrons will become one of the tribes that we get to interact with? I never really thought of that, actually.
I would be surprised if we don't have something with the Thule, given the whole the last dregs, the thing at the center there. It seems like you've got the NPC there who's telling us about all the like that is clearly going to be expanded in some way.
Yeah. It's all like looking at the anchors and seeing what the options are, because they can't not do the Loperids. So who's going to be the other one is the question, and where's it going to be? Like, is it going to be terrestrial, or is it that both of them going to be in space?
Yeah. I mean, maybe just the Thule as a whole, like instead of focusing on one race, it's just like all the quote unquote peoples of it.
I mean, technically, since it's like a mind area, like it's not an actual physical reality, they could literally put anything in there. It doesn't have to be something that's already in existence, right?
And like with the Ananta, you had it where you were bringing in all these different peoples of Alamigo together. Even though it was ostensibly about this one group, it ended up being about like how all of them are working and interacting together. So you could take that kind of angle on it.
Be Medion and all of her sisters.
You think they're like Skittles? You think there's like
hesitation?
Just thinking about the mount reward you get when you get high enough rank.
Is it
Such
just
hesitation?
Is it just like a medion that flaps her head wings?
It's Xenos.
No, yeah, it's probably Xenos. And it could hold 8 players with a disc on it, like a square on his back.
They were very specific about like, oh yeah, his body and whatnot are off in this dimensional space, and we can retrieve it and use it as a mount.
By the way, I looked over the Q&A and I love that it's like, yeah, he's dead, right? Right? Question mark.
I hated that answer so much.
I was like,
Oh, let him die.
Like, really? You're gonna leave an angry person at the end of the universe just laying there?
Right now, I think he's clearly just like Schrodinger's antagonist. Like,
yeah, he really is.
They play. My gut feeling is that they plan on him being dead, but don't have the fortitude to commit to it. That they don't have the confidence to commit. So like they're casually dating the idea of Xenos being dead right now.
Yeah, someone I heard put it as, it's like the idea of innocent until proven guilty, dead until proven really cool in a cutscene.
Yeah,
Gaius lives.
Hey, yeah, Gaius can come back.
That's like my Encyclopedia Eorzea has Moose's signature with hashtag Gaius lives.
Vintage 2014 or no 2016 Gaius lives memes.
Beautiful.
I don't think anybody wants I don't want Xenos to live. I'm kind of like, I'm okay with it, but I have a feeling if he's gonna come back, he's gonna come back in like rather in a spirit form, in some sort of like, you know, hey friend, remember the like, or like, oh okay, faded memory of person past.
He got to burn out his candle at the end of the universe in the single most glorious way possible. I have to feel like he would think it would be an insult to everything he ever cared about if he were back in any form.
I have spent a lot of time posing this question to myself and others about various characters, and in terms of like what I think about how the character played out. Like, okay, let's use Xenos as an example. Xenos surviving the situation. Yes, that's what you want for him, but is it what he wants for him?
No.
Which is the much bigger question to me, because I feel like his biggest fear was having to live over long in a world that had nothing to offer him. So like, even though all of this was for a disappointing end in a way, like we see him like laying on the ground having that post-nut clarity before he fades away, and like maybe that was disappointing, but does that mean that he like wants to come back? I doubt it.
So.
Yeah, Chat's coming really hard into the he's dead, but his body's still around, and they've had a lot of precedent to this expansion with people obsuming your body, and Daniel and crew like let his model die. Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna bring his body back. If anything, it would be
Did it with Asai.
No, we don't. Yeah, but once, like, you can't. They're not like
once.
yeah, like you can't just keep reusing.
So
I mean,
far.
eventually, like something's gonna set in, right? Like
Right.
gangrene or like
There's-
What
you can't-
next? What
There's-
next? Everyone who died was just hit with a sleeping potion?
Yeah, and like how many like his throat got repaired at some point? Come on, like
We actually just woke up and we're still stuck in Stormblood.
did they just put
At
like
some
a
point, you
weird
just
voice
hit the
box in there?
X-Files. At some point, you just
Yeah.
hit the X-Files level of no one ever dies, and
Like
that's frustrating.
Xenos is gonna show up like the roach suit in Men in Black. He's like sugar water. Water with sugar. Like just like all right, dude, let's go. All right. Just eat me and envy.
It does feel like they were setting him up to like kick in the door in 12.0 during some crucial cutscene, like, hey, remember Xenos? But I wish they would just commit, because like it was such a good end.
He's back.
They
in
commit to
pog
killing
form.
all of our friends. Like Papalymo, no question he went. We had like Brita, no question she went. Harshafont, no question he went.
Yeah.
Yeah. They made a
Xenos stays alive 2
deliberate-
expansions afterwards.
They made a deliberate choice to not show a dude who survived having his head almost cut off dissolve into mist. That was a choice.
Yeah.
Terrible
choice.
They did show his chest stop moving though. Like you always just like the little stuff like moving, just breathing, and it did stop moving.
He was just
So did
super
ours.
relaxed.
Yeah, he got his, so
Yeah.
As we said, post-nut clarity.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Can't bring Minfilia back if
it-
Xenos comes back. No.
Levy
The test of your
Vincent D'Onofrio's live action Xenos.
The test of your reflexes was making sure you didn't get any of it on your face.
Well,
You wanted me as a guest.
Sorry, Susan just said that Minfilia is back because we have Argos.
That's
Good.
Fedot's persona.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
We've
take.
been over this.
I'm gonna go
So
take
is Minfilia.
I'm gonna go. I was gonna say I'm gonna go take Minfilia to win a pup cup.
I spent my whole Endwalker experience just like making jokes about like if I could send a screenshot of this back in time, if I could send a summary of this back in time, like just no context, just send it back into the future. Yeah, and then Fandaniel dies and Zodiark dies and the moon's a spaceship piloted by bunnies. Like who would believe it? Now I'm sitting here thinking like, just send the Minfilia dog back in time, just a screenshot, no words, no explanation, just having people looking at it terrified we're gonna get there. She's gonna be like, man, Grad.
I was hoping that's where you were going, and I was not disappointed.
Parts of me loved that, like, we land on the moon and there's so much like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and it's like, oh, elegant spaceship, oh my god, like, we're just,
Yeah, that's a given.
it's
I feel like
all right.
someone needs to put an edit of that cutscene in Shadowbringers from the beginning in Amarang, and then once it's halfway done, then you cut it to the close-up of Argos.
Especially maybe with the line about how Argos is waiting for you to get finished with petting.
But like, what are the implications there? Because they clearly wanted us to associate the two images, but it's like, if you consider how long Argos has been a thing, and then when Minfilia went into the sea, like when she became Word of the Mother, was Hydaelyn just like, you should braid your hair like this? Why? No reason. I just think it looks good on you.
It just looks cute.
Well, I guess the other question, did Minfilia ever meet Argos? Like,
That
when
would-
she went into the sea, was Argos there? Like, did she become friends and be like, hey, look, we match?
That would be peak Minfilia. Oh, I love your braid. Let me do it.
Or is it an
Once in
Indiana
a-
Jones like dog name situation where he's like, Indy was the dog, like
Once an Asm, always an Asm.
Accurate. Look at all the Asms we know so far. shards and yeah.
Well, we just like to party. That's it.
To be fair, Ardbert never took on his what's his name? Why am I blanking on the name? Bird.
Took on his bird. Oh, the
Amaro?
Amaro?
Yeah, the Amaro.
Seto? You
Yeah.
forgot Seto, you monster?
I forgot. Sorry, I'm gonna let you post your link. There you go.
Yay.
You can post your link. Oh, and Susan also let you post your link.
I'm
So
still
yeah.
Seto,
Kaiba.
yes, no, no, Seto Kaiba.
But there's no like Ardbert and Seto, like they didn't look alike.
No.
That's good. So it's not necessarily. We might have broken the chain.
It's fine. No, I mean it's good. It's whatever. Minfilia dog. It's great. So let's. I mean, first of all, like since Moose already kind of alluded to it, but I don't think any of us could have explained what the hell happened this expansion. Like, I mean, we could have at the end of it, but I don't think any of us were prepared what the hell was going to happen.
My slogan for the entire thing is you could take this entire, like the entire plot outline, and you could send it back in time with like pictures of Yoshida talking about it, audio recordings of meetings. You could send all of it back and leak it a month before Endwalker came out, and no one would have believed it was real. They'd be like looking at video of Yoshida talking about it, like, nice deep fake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Level 83 is where everyone's bingo cards just went in the shredder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You really did.
I remember doing it. All I could think of was like, should we check in on like Moose and Seyrr? Because I don't think they're gonna be okay. And then I looked and neither of you had gotten there yet. I'm like, oh no.
Oh no! Once we hit time travel, I knew Moose wasn't okay. Like I didn't need to check
Oh no, this
in.
is before. Like once we hit the moon, I knew we weren't okay. Like once we hit time travel, it was just.
I was laughing. I was cackling like a madman throughout the entire thing. I loved every ridiculous moment of it. It was great.
Now we're just like,
I like the subversion of expectations. I watched. For those of you who are familiar with Haruhi, I gleefully watched every episode of Endless 8. I appreciate a good, well-executed troll. A arc about a time loop where, in order to give the audience the feeling of what it was like for the person who could experience the entire time loop, they did mostly the same episode 8 times in a row, each time freshly reanimated and re-recorded with subtle differences. The audience was so mad. It was beautiful.
I
think Pop Team Epic tried this as well, but like completely on purpose.
I mean, the payoff for like this whole time, this whole damn time.
Now, that said, if anyone believes for a moment that this was planned since 1.0, no. This, that would do a disservice to the sheer level of brilliant seat of the pants fuckery that happened here.
My stance on the whole thing was like, I had a list of theories that I liked and a list of theories that I hated and a list of things that I wanted to be addressed. And somehow Endwalker was able to address all of the things that I think should be addressed while validating very few of my expectations and throwing everyone's everything into the trash and just going like full 11th hour Final Fantasy crazy, which is like very on brand for the franchise. So it's like, it's probably for the best I didn't get what I wanted.
It turns out we don't know what we want.
Something new, but not what I've already done. But, the same. More of the same, but new.
Yeah.
Which is technically what they delivered.
Yeah.
I feel like I should find
it just wasn't the same as 14.
I feel like I should find that Simpsons line where they're giving the feedback about what they want Itchy and Scratchy to be.
Yeah, it's basically forum discourse on where 14 should go.
I do think whoever decided that they were going to like take answers and use that as kind of an outline for the whole expansion, credit to them, how like they've made it all fit. so that you can kind of look back and be like, oh, we actually had all of this all along. Like, no, they just built it to look like that.
Like,
But
brilliantly
done.
Yeah, they did a good job. And also, I mean, much like Itchy and Scratchy, unlike Itchy and Scratchy, when they added Poochie this time around, it actually worked. So good on that. So that's
I
a
have to
deep.
go now.
It's a deep
Ultima
cut.
Thule needs me.
That's a deep cut for all the Simpsons fans out there.
Oh.
So what was your like? Ultimately, I mean, I know there's some people like. Do you think that anything carried over? Like, I mean, we know that basic things carried over from 1.0, but do you think there's anything that threaded like through all of this from 1.0, other than like names and stuff like that? Like
deliberately or incidentally?
Either.
Adventurer bullshit saves the world.
All right. Nailed it. Good. Well, boys, our job's done.
That is pretty much like Vena in one line. I remember talking with some friends about really worried about when you get to Elpis. It's like, okay, thinking that Vena was going to be like what Hermes turned out to be. With like, okay, this like fear, and then being like, oh nope, she's very clearly an Azim. She has us figured out in one sentence. And she is having just as much fun pushing buttons as anyone else. It's like, okay, you are the spirit of this adventurer bullshit that just goes through and wants to see stuff and saves the world. And you know what? It's all going to be okay.
Like,
I was so
seriously,
worried, and then it was that, and it was beautiful.
Susan says Venat is the best wine ant.
Yes, she is Crystal Wine Ant, and it is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
She is the shit poster of that group.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, like, I know Moose had always had the thing of, like, Crystal Mom loves you and tried her best. And after the Elpis sequence, I changed it to Crystal Mom loved you and tried her best. And she's also a huge troll, so good luck with that.
Yep.
So what do you think? So this was part of the Q&A. Then what do you think? Like, if somebody asked, like, oh, was she truly evil for splitting the planets? I know, because that was really one of the questions, right? And then they said, like, they had to answer, be like, no, she's not evil, but she is. She is.
I am
Nassian, like
I can feel my anxiety rising. Like,
someone
now, like, do you want to open this can of worms in public with people watching? Like,
why not?
Bend to Twitter.
She is someone who told you something true that you didn't want to hear, and for a lot of people, that is synonymous with evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
That is like
this is why I say the hot takes. You still haven't posted the M. Night Shyamalan one.
Listen,
I know.
That may be a better explanation what they gave on the Q&A. That it really is, because people are like, oh, why split the plan? Like, I get it. Like, I understand. It's also like why I also feel like Xenos is a form of like, oh, the player character in a sense, because he's like
Xenos is the player who skips cutscenes.
Well, yes. But
and he just comes back in every now and then being like, hey, can I fight you now? No. Okay, I'll come back later.
Yeah. What?
He paid attention to the cutscenes. He would know when we're busy.
What did you answer, Xenos, when Xenos asked you the question, like, are you Avenger? Just like I answered, yes, that's me. Of course I am. I'm always looking for,
It would be this. It would be. I am totally there to help people and save the world, and it would be dishonest to not admit that. Yes, I have that joyful flow state of figuring out a fight and going through the stuff. Like, I am still a gamer as well.
Yeah,
I sat on that menu for probably over a minute.
Same.
Like, I felt like I lost a bet, is I think the best way to put it. Like, I went into Endwalker terrified that Xenos was going to suck up all the oxygen and be one of these big final bosses. And I hated the idea of that, because like, he's just a dude who wants to fight one other dude. If the whole world gets dragged into that, it doesn't like give you a lot of opportunity to reflect on what life means, what conflict means, what it meant for us to bring everyone together. Like, yeah, the world's under threat, but like from a guy who wants to punch another guy. So like, I was terrified he was going to suck up all the oxygen, and then he shows up after I have been making jokes for hours, like, bro, if you want to fight, just help me kill the sound. We'll throw down. Like, he's shows
like, yeah,
up.
sure.
So he shows up and he does it. So already I can't even be mad. Like,
Yeah.
And then after all of the misunderstanding us that he's done, like
Mhm.
he first accused us of being like, kind of a beast who understands like that we want to live and fight and breed, and that's all we were, we're embracing that life, and he was kind of wrong there. And then he came back and he was like, well, we have such a need to be a hero that if he becomes a big enough villain, we'll eventually come after him. And he was kind of wrong there, and he realized that Van Daniel's plan wasn't really working out for him. And he comes up to you at the very end of the game after he has respectfully sat aside and not ruined my experience.
Mhm.
And he comes over and he just lays out like, hey, no one's around. We're not dragging anybody into it. No one's ever going to know. The world's not under threat. And I think sometimes you like a challenge for its own sake. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, slam that first option.
Yeah.
So like I felt like I lost a bet to Natsuki Ishikawa that he was a great addition to this game.
So three
At
of
the
us
end of
answered the same. Quinton's the only outlier.
We know who we are.
Yeah, we do. Three of us are just like, you know what? Let's go. Let's tussle, blonde boy. And plus, it felt good. Like I'm sure Lalafels felt good punching. That punching scene felt so.
Oh my god, that scene looked ridiculous.
I'm not a Lalafell.
No, but I wonder if it. See, I wonder if it also gave if you picked a different option than that. If that fight didn't happen and he just stood at the end of the world, just sulking.
That would be funny, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But it would have been pretty great if you just walked away and he was just like, fine.
It just sits there like a puppy.
Yeah, just like where I'll stay here.
Like, well, shit. Can you call me an Uber?
Right.
I'm still surprised. They're like, we're going to use all the energy and the primals and everything to power the ship to go all the way there. Except now we can make round trips whenever we want, and Xenos also could take a ship to make a trip there. Like, I feel like this is kind of downplaying it.
No,
It just
well,
exists in two places at once. Don't question it.
yeah.
I mean, so thing I feel obligated to point out, any time that the story wants us to go to Elpis, it does require us to go to the Crystal Tower and to the thing. Like the idea that you could just somehow teleport to an Aetherite in the past, how would that even work?
Yeah.
That's just there as a game convenience.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Mm.
Now,
Why did they just embraced the mechanical obligations of it? Like in the game, they were basically like they found a way for Living Way to say, yeah, it's just a game mechanic. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
And I think that like finding a way to weave that into the world was very cute and clever,
Mhm.
because like there is a balance to be found between a deep immersive world setting where everything always has an answer and bro, stop thinking so hard about it.
They just
We
wanted
are-
to make the game not miserable to play.
We are tiny bunnies running the ship, which was you thought was a moon.
Mm-hmm. With a giant
Oh,
3D
God.
printed factory in there somewhere making houses.
God,
Poorly.
I love that dungeon.
Ugh.
It's so weird. It's great.
Yeah, they're just like,
Also, as long as I'm thinking about it, if we don't get a Loperit costume out of the Loperit quests, I'm going to start a riot.
mhm.
Yeah, we need a Loperit costume and we need the Gleaner bag.
Yes, I need a Gleaner bag yesterday. There is pictures of my
Airville.
character from 1.0 with a backpack that looks a lot like a Gleaner bag. I liked gathering all the stuff. I would have done the MSQ on Botanist if they still let us do that.
Do you think
I miss Parlay.
Gleaner bag is just a crafting gathering?
Could you
Trying to do
imagine
the Halloween event as a crafter or as a fisher?
Could you imagine if this game really did play out as Tanaka intended and you could like parlay Zodiark at the end of the game?
Like, yes, I understand, but have you considered fluctuations in sunset wheat prices on the Old Dawn markets?
He's got a great point. Oh,
I guess I shouldn't
Congratulations.
exist.
We've come to
Finally defeated
we've-
Zodiark, and now the wheat prices have dropped dramatically, causing a worldwide famine.
Oh.
Everyone
ask how
just
those
switches
things
over
work.
to everyone just switches over to eating potatoes, which also helps with population reduction.
Yeah. less Lalafels running around. Wait, are we talking about the same potatoes?
That's
okay,
the
just checking.
joke. Yes.
Okay, no, all right.
Yeah, you went and explained it. Just yep.
Oh, I do all this subtle balancing of this little house of cards, and then Flatus. Oh,
I said-
sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
I'm sorry.
Alternate universe where Xenos is a chef and you battle him in a Master Chef tournament.
Now, see.
how do I make an alternate universe the main universe?
Now the question is, who would have been the judge out there?
Oh, I'm just sitting here thinking about that. Why'd you do this to me? Like, instead of the golf bag full of katanas, it's just like the knife block. Like,
Yeah,
Food Wars style.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess
was there actually a food
I guess the
wars?
Omicrons. I guess you could just
Oh,
like
right,
slip
God.
food into the Omicrons and they just analyze it for like.
Bert.
just
Yeah, no, I think an Omicron,
Julian.
Hyclodeus, and then Godbert for no apparent reason.
Godbert cracks.
Julian would be the one that does the judging.
Godbert cracks through the glass. He's like, "Yeah, I had some of that crystal too."
No, he just is there with no explanation given whatsoever. He's just there.
he just steps out of the portal with Greg.
Yeah,
Wait, now we have Hildebrand in here too?
why not?
And then yeah, Hyclodeus, because he is absolutely the type of person who would insinuate himself into this because hey, something interesting's going on.
Also, I feel like you would
Hildebrand
also.
steps out the portal with Greg, and Greg has this adverse reaction because they're cooking with chicken.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I could see Hythlodeus hanging out with Hildebrand and Greg.
I feel like they need to
not-
somehow get Hildebrand to Elpis
not for
because they
the.
can have a whole fun time there.
I just want to point out, not for the sake of hanging out to solve a mystery, just because they like. I think they're us as a player, and they're just like, I'm just watching this all go down. Just watching.
Honestly,
all the insanity go down.
Hythlodeus, Emmett Selk, and why am I blanking on all the names here? Hildebrand, Briardian,
Mhm.
Hermes, put them all together in a room and watch it.
Oh no, the problem
I
is
feel
if
like
Hermes
Briardian
met,
and Emmett Selk.
Like, is this an
would get
alternate
along.
Hermes who has gotten some therapy?
or
Maybe an
Hermes,
antidepressant?
No, I'm talking like Elpis people.
because if Hermes met Hildebrand, he'd have to cancel the project or speed it up. One of the two things would like. It's like this man.
This could be part of the whole. You know what? It's gonna happen. They'll do all of that, and at the end of it, Hildebrand will accidentally hit the mind wipe thing, and they'll all
Kairos.
forget it.
There now.
Kairos, yeah. then there's just it's all gone.
Oh
And
god, I
it'll
want
somehow
nothing
because
more.
It'll happen because Gilgamesh will somehow because it's the same Gilgamesh in all the universes. Somehow he crosses over.
Oh no!
Somehow he'll find a way to get back,
I
and
saw
Hildebrand will
Moose's
follow
eyes
him.
wide in there.
I want nothing more than Hildebrand in Elpis now. Nothing more than that.
One Gilgamesh theory is like instant rage. Is like
You don't know what you've done here.
You mean
I
to
have
tell me
spoken it into
there's
existence
not
now.
one Gilgamesh theory?
I have spent 10 years in the Final Fantasy XIV lore forum fighting back against that Dissidia forces Yoshida to accept the multiverse against his will, and all Gilgamesh are the same Gilgamesh.
I don't know.
And
He was pretty keen on the metaverse last night. Not NFTs, but the metaverse.
Final Fantasy Cinematic Universe?
Yes. All connected.
I have never played other Final
he-
Fantasies, so I'm just parroting things.
You
if he
mean-
wants
you
to
mean-
opt in, he will let you know, and when he does, I will accept it.
You mean Gilgamesh and the Multiverse of Madness isn't coming up next? That's not the next patch?
I mean, that could absolutely be a thing, honestly.
Hildebrand was kind of on the first with the whole
Yeah.
trial thing.
Like, yeah, there's the quasi appearance of him in Heroes Gauntlet.
No, it all actually extends back to, I think, kind of the early 2.0 when they first name dropped Dalmasca. And there were people like questioning, are the worlds connected in any way? And Mayhiro actually came out and was like, no, they're not. This is completely isolated. There's no connections to any other game. Stop it. And everybody kept fighting over it and acting like Dissidia and Mobius and the jokes that they made and the crossover events. They proved Yoshida wrong about his own game. And like, so I felt like as someone who was into the lore, it was partly my responsibility to help hold that line. So I would even like go to interviews and ask you like, hey, I remember you said that you like prefer the worlds to be isolated. Is that still true? He's like, yes. So like I felt like I had to fight that fight, and one Gilgamesh is just like it was a thorn in my side for years. I think my favorite answer from Yoshida was it was when Evilise was coming in, and he's like, yeah, well, my position hasn't changed, but Yasumi Matsuno is a god, and if God says they're connected, I guess they're connected.
And
I
we have
somehow
Gilgamesh.
think it's funnier if there actually are multiple Gilgameshes that all ended up being dimensional travelers, and they're bopping around between several different things and never overlapping with each other.
You've just found the solution. Okay, so there are a couple of games where they do opt into it. There's like 3 that are clear and maybe 8 ambiguous, where they are opting into that idea of a multiple universe kind of thing. But I think if you don't opt in, you haven't opted in. So I think the solution to it is to have 2 of those Gilgameshes meet. There you go.
There we go. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you've got these parallel universes and you've got, okay, this person from the universe became a dimension hopper, why wouldn't that person from at least a couple of the others also become a dimension hopper?
Or all Gilgameshes are shards of each other from 14, and they just hop to all the other games, and that's the origin.
Oh no!
You are a hair's breadth from claiming things about the shards that I don't think you want to claim in front of Moose.
I mean,
It's still not like every time I think it's over. Every time I think
It's
it's
not
over,
over.
I go somewhere and there's someone who's like, "Yeah, the original Gilgamesh was born in Type 0 and the original Omega was born in 14. And they both met in 5." And I'm like, "No."
Well, then where does 11's Gilgamesh come into this?
I think that's where he went right after 0.
yeah. And if you're wondering when he took a break, is when he decided to wear a costume and become Yojimbo twice. Once in 10 and then again in 14.
While making references to stuff that wouldn't happen until much later when he was in 5, because why don't we just break the timeline while we're at it?
I mean, if you travel around a
It's
lot,
time
I mean, you
travel.
probably forget.
Oh, how do you forget stuff that hasn't happened yet?
He hangs out with Hildebrand.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
I mean, everybody forgot the Warriors of Light.
Yeah,
True.
Well, that's because someone didn't have a blotter when they spilled their ink.
things they forgot about. Warriors are like,
I do love that they finally, like, years later came up with an explanation for that.
Those PowerPoints were the
Yeah.
best.
forgot about the Warriors of Light. They forgot about Dre. That's the things they forgot. So if we do the math, Dre is a Warrior of Light.
A 1.0 warrior.
He's old school.
And belts. They forgot about belts.
That's true. They also forgot about belts.
God, I was not expecting that stupid throwaway line in the... Was it the Christmas event?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Mhm.
Oh.
So, I mean, the story was pretty self-explanatory. I mean, is there anything that surprised, like, other than the things that, like, surprised us all? I mean, was there any, like, little thing that was like, okay, I didn't think they would have touched on that, or I don't, you know, was there anything that was, like, answered that you didn't think you would ever get an answer from? Like, something small, big, otherwise?
Hmm.
Do you feel like everything was answered? Do you feel like we're not, like, they didn't skip over something and like, hey, what about this?
I think the best way to phrase it is that I'm surprised that they put the effort into explaining some of the things that they did, because they didn't go in those directions. I think they gave answers that explained Fan Daniel like a little clearer than I expected, and I was really happy about that. I think they touched back on the Echo in interesting ways. I was surprised that they like kind of put that boundary between the Echo, the Blessing, throwing in the Traveler's Ward, trying to redistribute where tempering fits into the equation and stuff like that. Really just adding Dynamis on at the 11th hour, I think, was something that surprised me a lot, because they just, I guess, didn't want to retcon Ether yet again. This is the only explanation that I can come up with. I'm trying to think of something like specific though, just like something. What are you coming up with, Seyrr?
I am mildly annoyed that they confirmed Lamarckian evolution is a thing last night.
Yeah.
That you got the Elezen because, like, oh, they needed to hear better. That's like like Lamarckian evolution is the one where, oh, giraffes have long necks because some of them needed to like stretch their necks, and then over time generations had longer. That's not how that works. Lamarckian evolution was this whatever ages ago, but apparently it's a thing here, and everything evolved in the same way on this and the first.
Don't you read
How the
Twitter? Latent creation magic's influencing your evolution with your needs.
Yeah.
So why did all the Elezen just evolve to be assholes?
How did you get two separate types of cat person on, like, evolving in two different shards?
Magic.
Also, yes, apparently Xeno strings about Amarok because Emmett Selk had magic sperm.
DNA.
Yeah, he got Asian DNA, so he's just like, end of days, bro.
That was a very like we don't feel like cleaning that one up answer. I like that.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was-
Chili
Oh.
was saying Lalas are here that were very clumsy, so kept dropping things and so therefore evolved to be shorter. No. Lalas just have severe depression and the weight of their anxiety has kept them down.
yeah.
This is
That's so man.
I feel like this is kind of coming from the angle of that I've been Team Heidelin the whole time, but like I'm impressed to the degree to which they didn't concede on her. Like I expected a middle of the road. I expected like a weepy I have no choice for the Sundering. I expected like lots of contrived validations that make everybody look good. And while we got some of that, there was just no concession. Like even last night on the live stream, Yoshida's like, all of Vana's behavior was perfectly in line with ancient thinking. Emmett Selk shouldn't have been judging humanity. I agree with Alphino. How dare he?
Beautiful, just beautiful.
Yeah.
So like I was amazed to the degree that they knew that a lot of people were skeptical of Heidelin and were so caught up in how like they wanted to share in the immortality and beauty and awesomeness of the ancients that they saw them in this like really positive light. And like I was amazed to the degree to which they just didn't concede to that at all. Like they had Emmett Selk just like sitting there like, wow, you're telling me I spent all the Shadowbringers being a megalomaniacal madman with a stupid plan? And I was just like
Or the bit where
Yeah.
where he's like, yeah, I still hold on to my like they have the I've seen a lot of people quoting the bit about how his ideals are inviolate and not quoting the next bit about how and yeah, they wouldn't have worked.
yeah, like that. The cool thing is that I think in retrospect, you can make a certain sort of sense out of it. Because we got confirmation last night that Vana just let him not be sundered. Because it was, you know, she knew kind of the story that the Warrior of Light had told. And while she wasn't taking it for granted and acting like that's how it had to be, that information also informed her decision. And Emmett Selk says in the kind of the middle of the end there, that he thinks Vana did this on purpose, set him up to be the keystone that upholds the conjunction of time and makes her plan work. And he kind of struggles with it and tries to figure out, like, is this an olive branch or a punishment? And I think in retrospect, we can say it's both because he didn't want to live in the world that survived the Endsinger. Like he knew that the only world that was going to survive the Endsinger was not the world that he knew and loved, and he didn't want to live in that world. And the actions that he took enabled us to beat the Endsinger. So I think we can say that Vana allowed him to take a position where he kept his ideals and fought for what he believed, even though he lost for a good reason, that he still got to stay who he wanted to be and not have to fight for a world he didn't want to participate in. And I think we get to like skew that and pretend that it was on purpose and pretend that it honors his legacy, maybe in a way that like, Yoshida didn't explicitly say.
Like part olive branch, part punishment, and a little bit like cuffing upside the head. And come on, dude, don't take yourself too seriously here.
Well, and
Emmett Selk
probably
needs
part
someone who's
troll
doing
because
that for him.
it's Heidelin or not Heidelin. It's Vana, like she's trolling him.
I mean, same
Also, he
person.
clearly seeks out friendships and relationships where the people are trolling the fuck out of him. On some level, he seems to be okay
Really
with this.
Yeah. Up to the point where he can finally give us crap. Like he waited for it a long time to at the very end just to be like, And what about you, adventurer? You think you're
Oh
over?
my God, when
Think
he
your
was
days are
giving off-
over?
When he was giving off that list of stuff, I was like, okay, I need to start writing these down.
He's like, and here, and this, and over here. And what about all the other like copies of the planets?
So that was one thing. I had been like a lot of the previous expansions, they'd be like, okay, we're going to have like this clearly focused thing, like these 1 or 2 regions, this place that we can really dig into and have more adventures afterwards. And especially knowing that the Heidel and Zodiac story was going to wrap up in 6.0 and that we'd be starting a new one, I had been concerned about, okay, we've got kind of this shallow thing of things. What even is going to make sense? All of these zones that were for this story, are they even going to work for telling a new story? And
Right.
at the end of all of it, I felt like this is a world full of possibility with lots of different places that we could set out from.
And they definitely made it clear that nothing's off the table, whether it's time travel, dimension hopping, space travel, undersea travel. Like, we literally have everywhere and anywhere to go.
I do wonder if they're going to keep expanding submersibles or if we're going to have like little low-power rocket ships for the next company airship thing.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Space exploration, probably. It's like,
I just read that line in Yoshida's voice. Like, I knew Yoshida was anxious that people would see this as the end, and he's been trying to like fight back against that idea. Like, this is a conclusion of a story arc, not a conclusion of a game. There's so much left to do. And so when I saw that line, all I saw was you being like, how do we get people to believe it? Make Emmett Silk say it.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, like, a lot of the stuff he mentioned was stuff we already knew about and just needed to be reminded of. So it's not even like, oh, this is a complete ass pull of, oh, well, Mars will become a robot and Mo gets a cell phone. It's like, no, like this was stuff that was being set up before. It's still there.
Yeah. I think maybe it was like good eye opener, like at the end of like, because we know we're about to step into the end, right? Like right at this point, like you're at the cusp at the very end. It was a reminder from someone this whole time that was been a friend, a thorn in an enemy, and you know whatever else to us was also just like, hey, dum dum,
Trap. I've seen the tweets.
Yeah. And a little bit of like reaching through the fourth wall and acknowledging again acknowledging us as a player and as a person who likes this kind of thing. Like it felt like a lot of this was addressed not just to the Warrior of Light, but throughout the thing to us as players. Especially some of the themes that were being dealt with. It was kind of like, you know what? After the last several years of all of this vague gesturing at the entire world, there was some stuff that was like, no, like, yeah, shit is hard, and we are still putting one foot in front of the other, and we are still walking forward, and that is a victory in and of itself. And that was like a message I really needed to hear right now.
They didn't resolve my anxiety though. Like I'm still very anxious about what like the next path is gonna take. Because like you got one,
14. I thought you meant like in general, and I was like, that's
no.
Dude.
Nothing's gonna reduce my real life anxiety. It's not even medications doing that. No. Let's go like just focus on 14 for a minute. My anxiety is like in terms of storytelling approach. This was like big, grand stuff. Like this was like huge stuff, and I'm worried that they like can continue to enhance the scales on some things and raise the stakes on some things. And I'm kind of hoping that this is the peak. And there are some things that validate that. Like a lot of the stuff Emmett Selk said was, let's focus on the world, our world. Let's explore our world. There's so much more to see. And then you've also got that, hey, time travel is still a thing. Planetary expansion still, like, so we've got, Thancred and Urianger who are like, yeah, let's go to the new world. Let's go to Marasidia. Let's go to places we've never been. And then you've got Yashola like, yeah, I'm going to figure out how to get to the other shards. And I'm kind of like worried about which one's going to be the dominant thing, because I don't want it to hit this point again. And that's just my opinion. I think other people might have different opinions, but I'm
not for 10 years at least.
I would I would throw in that a couple of the other things they did was to get rid of some of the stuff that let it wrap. Like Mother Crystal's gone. Like a lot of it got used to fuel the spaceship, and then the rest got used. Like the primal fueled spaceship was just hilarious.
They basically like ended primals, but also made it possible for them to exist anytime we want to, and that's a little
Like if
Weird.
we want a free company to summon
Yeah,
them.
we have friends
Yeah.
now. The primals are our friends.
Yeah.
They'll be on our island sanctuaries.
Our-
the
our
promise of
primals are our
1.0's free
friends.
company
I'm
primal
just-
summoning.
I'm nervous it's gonna hit a point where we like all go to the moon and fly it off into space and find some whole new civilization, like where the
Again?
Allagons went, and there's some there's some huge war, and then Xenos comes back, and it's just like
Oh.
I think I'd be okay if they,
Xenos.
What's good?
if they had like another long overarching story, whether it's a 2-year story, a 4-year story, a 10-year story. I don't think they'll go 10 years again, but like if they have a
No.
long story and it kind of culminates in something awesome like this, I can definitely see it. But yeah, maybe not quite the level of absurdity that they hit.
I just want
Yeah.
this to be the peak. I
Yeah.
sit here and I think about like Rhapsodies of Eorzea where the moon's flying through space and Xenos is clinging to the back rocket like a xenomorph, and I just like
Minfilia's back trying to stop it.
Yeah.
just let me retire. I just want to retire.
I remember a friend of mine talking about, I want to say it was Doctor Who, and how it was the type of thing where through the seasons it would be like, okay, like the Earth is going to, like if you don't do this thing, the Earth will be destroyed. The Earth will be destroyed throughout history. All this universe will be destroyed. Multiple and like having to ratchet up the threat level each time. And what really the episodes and the sequences that really worked with him were the ones where like, if we fail on this thing, the world will continue to spin and everything else will be all right, but someone will die and some other people will be very sad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And those ones seem to somehow have the highest stakes.
You're gonna
And it's like, and we've got a crew here that seems to actually really care about telling a good story and treating the product well. So I definitely share a little bit of the concern about it. I feel a little more confident, at least about this group. If we were talking about WoW, am I
mean-
allowed to make that go into
Oh, yeah.
that thing? Does that send us too far down a rabbit hole?
I mean, you can. I'm the one that knows the story best.
You've seen the thing about Time Lord Grubash, haven't you?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So
I
real
kind of worry
quick,
the opposite side of this. Like, sorry.
I was gonna say I think Moose's nightmare is Xenos coming back and giving up like wanting to fight, but picking up acoustic guitar and playing Space Odyssey. Space Odyssey.
You could just get rid of all of that and Xenos coming back. That's my nightmare. Just-
But also now
You've
he's
been
the
in the
guy who
spotlight
plays
too much.
acoustic guitar at parties.
Okay, I know it wasn't what anyone was intending, but now I kind of want a Space Channel 5 crossover.
Quinton's face was not only his nightmare, but like his nightmare in his ever living hell.
This is the NPC that won't die. Like,
Yeah.
and I think my concern is a little is like the opposite of what yours is, Moose. Like, I'm worried that we just went through 2 of the best expansions this game has ever had. We had the incredible Shadowbringers. We had a great ending with Endwalker, and now we're going into something completely new. How are they going to live up to all that hype while putting us back into something more mundane? Right? Like, we just literally went through time and space to save the universe. And now you want us to go and kill 10 rats again? Like, that's going to be a hard transition to make. And I think the team is really strong. I'm just very curious how they're going to make that transition.
I think it's possible, like when you say it like that, I can see the concern immediately, and then right alongside of it, I can also see if you just isolate the Garlemald arc.
Yep.
I think we're already showing potential for being able to ground the story again. Like the Garlemald arc was very powerful, and it didn't need Hydaelyn and Zodiark and Ascians and spaceships and a reincarnation, 12,000 years of history. It
Or
was
the crawling cutscene.
right. Yeah, even the crawling cutscene, like that whole segment was very powerful in spite of the lack of all of that at that point of the story. And I think it bodes well for the ability to go to somewhere like the Marasidia or the New World and tell a story that's grounded and also powerful.
I mean, we're the goddamn Warrior of Light, and we couldn't save 2 sisters because they
Right.
couldn't even trust us.
Yeah, I mean, is there a question of if we go to the New World, do they know us? Like, I mean, yeah, we saved the world, they saw shit, but I mean, does news travel that happened? Like, do they care?
Do we have a photo identification recognized throughout the world?
I've been thinking about
Proving your
that a
identity
lot.
proving your identity in a pre-industrial society, really, really hard.
A lot of paper, pretty much entirely paperwork based. Paperwork and your word.
Charlie,
Yeah,
Charlotte is everywhere, and we have an identity card from Charlotte that just says this dude saved the world.
Charlotte and TSA card, like, we pre-boarded. All right, cool.
No, Charlene, we go to work for the Charlene Intelligence Service, and they provide insertion into a variety of locations around the world, along with secret identities.
Is it run by like the Lalafell that you meet when you first enter?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it's like Mission Impossible. I get to rip off my face at some point.
I mean, I already did. I went from here to Lalafell to Bunny Boy.
I rip off HD Derplaner's face to reveal the good one.
This is one of those places where I'm like developing a headcanon, and that like now I'm gonna be disappointed if it's wrong. Cause like to answer Flatus's question, I would imagine that they have heard a lot of us. But like imagine what you would have heard from across the sea. Like there's just this incredibly powerful warrior, and everywhere they go, the status quo changes, nation falls, revolution, huge wars, and yeah, like places are better for it, but everything changes and everyone's caught in the middle. Like from their perspective, would you ever want to meet the Warrior of Light?
Probably
if
not,
if the Warrior of Light showed up in your territory, you'd want them to just be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Here's some presents. Go home. Go
Depends
home.
where you are on the social
Do
chain.
not stay here."
That's
right?
true.
And we just saw like how in Garlemald, how impotent the Warrior of Light is when there's complex systemic situations going on, where it's not just one thing you can punch in the face and everything changes. So I think if we went to the New World and there was that hesitation for us to even be there because of what it means to be the Warrior of Light, and like people vying for us to support their faction or change the status quo in this way, and you know there is bad shit going down there, I think it could turn into a Garlemald like situation where it's still grounded but we're struggling.
Side note, I want to go back really fast. The Garlemald sequence and how well that captured the whole Cold War aesthetic was just kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
And I need more Garlean lo-fi in my life.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
gonna happen.
I
It's
could
coming.
listen
Lo-fi
to
general.
I could listen to that piece on loop. It's just like this particular piece of music is just painting an entire picture in my head. It was okay. We can go back to the other stuff. I just needed to.
No, I 100% agree, because I was looking at kind of like the Russian aesthetic to it, and I was like, huh, am I imagining this kind of Cold War thing? It's like, hey, here's some borscht. Nope, guess not.
No.
And then someone goes and the leader of the forces goes and commits suicide in an underground bunker as the invading forces close in. That's not symbolic of anything.
No.
I quote unquote love the fact that the blood spattered banner is still up there.
Keep it there. That's like that should just like be in the time bubble.
Yeah.
Forever in the time bubble. Yeah, probably.
Summon Alexander over.
And then you go and do quests and be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and help you try to rebuild your ceruleum industry.
See, I had asked Chili in our Discord, the Maelstrom Radio Discord, about like, you know, because I didn't play 11, but I know there was like smaller story bits in 11, like they like these more like DLC, not so much an expansion. And he said they were okay, like they weren't great. They didn't offer like a lot of story. They just more expanded on current areas than they did add new ones. When he told me that, I'm like, okay, so maybe they're probably they might do a little bit of that, but I don't think they'll do that. Where I think
Probably not.
more so of this thing that they'll add. I think like maybe like Quinton said, like maybe 1 or 2 expansion storylines, wrap them up in nice little packages, and then we'll be, you know, on our merry way.
We got to see Santoto being Santoto, which was pretty delightful.
Yeah.
I gave too many years of my life to that game.
So,
anyways,
I'm not, and like I mean, 11 had great stories to tell, and I think that, yeah, I think doing 10 years is a lot. It's just a lot.
It's too much.
They've
shown like I think keeping the illusion of it being one story was the hardest part, because like this story has really only been in motion since maybe Stormblood. Like the first 2 expansions were pretty much just like, okay, quick, strip 1.0 down for parts, rebuild it into something more Final Fantasy, throw plot hooks out the back of a speeding truck, just love us, don't quit. And
it worked.
And then, you know, Heaven's Word was okay, we finished season 1. Let's get season 2. Let's show them that we have the potential to build, show them that we have the potential to expand. More plot hooks, more plot hooks. And then Stormblood was just like, well, shit, we didn't really plan for any of these exit strategies. We didn't know which plot hooks were going to snag anything. We didn't know, where we were going. And they had to take everything that was popular and tie it all together into one coherent narrative that had a story arc and like an ending. And I think that this story has really only been in motion since like Stormblood. So like I think they would stick to stories from now on that are like 2 to 5 years, and then like tessellate them, like overlap them from expansion to expansion. So you get like 1.5% of a story arc here, 1.5% of a story arc here, and you can kind of lock them together.
Yeah. And that would make the most sense, right? Like the idea of like it would fall in line better with like, oh, we're going underground, right? We're dissolved, but the scions are all underground now, and like we can, like you can say, all right, this expansion you're getting fan credit and so, and the next expansion you're just gonna get, it's gonna just be you and your Stola, and you're gonna do this and like try to hot planets, and then maybe Alfie and Alice might come.
Please
like,
no.
I mean that's.
I can't stand an entire expansion with scions that I do not like. Please mix them up.
But
like,
I mean, that
I could,
could
or
be the
also maybe
case.
like, okay, like the main thing it's going to be, say, Thancred and Urianger, and then the twins, and you'll have Estinian and Ishtola in some of the side content.
Yeah,
and maybe someone new.
But and then that side content is like leading into like the next story, and then like it'll be mixed in, and then you can call upon people as you wish. So it's not so much focused on me and my friends doing this thing, taking down the world, where it's more of like me and my friends taking down, people that are trying to end the world or end the planet or end the people. And
Call me good.
I'll also like with trusts, especially like the level 87 trusts, and we saw that, oh hey, you can have other characters who aren't necessarily like these are our best friends that we're always with, but like, hey, here's some side characters who we're joining up with for a bit. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what trust selections they have for the 2.0, 3.0, etc. stuff. I really hope that there's one we get like Hori Boulder and Anor at some point.
Yeah, I was actually going in that.
I said that last night in our chat. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a Hori Boulder.
I was going in that direction from the opposite angle. Like instead of seeing those people in the future story arcs, I hope that they only make like occasional cameos in like one cutscene. Like, hey, we're here, we figured this out, but that we spend most of our time hanging out with Coltonet and Hori Boulder, Ochre Boulder, Anor, like all of our, B team scions. I want them to go varsity. Let's go.
Oh my gosh,
have stories with them, learn about them.
Do you think we could be with them one of the times that Hori Boulder and Anor Ochre Boulder and Anor were fucking? Like her sister remarks on it because Hori Boulder's telling,
like off screen.
Ochre Boulder is telling
not what's actually happening.
Are you trying to get this into a
TV routine?
There's like a bit. I actually looked this up for other reasons. The other day, it just came up. But there's a thing where like.
Fucking?
Yes, Ochre Boulder is telling Hori Boulder about like how he's eventually with Anor, and like, no, this is so great, and like her 10 administrations have helped with such and such. And then Anor's sister Clemence is nearby, and she's like, wait, what the hell is he talking about? I was the healer on that. Oh god, no, they're 10 folds from mine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily want them to be like randomly showing up. I could see them as being like the benefactor, right? Like they might kick off the things and then delegate it to other people, and then we deal with the other people as the like. I think it's still like their quest, but it's not like they're like Minfilia. They just kind of show up every now and then and tell you to do something, and you have to deal with everyone else in the meantime.
In my head, it looks a little bit like Sid's role in Alexander. Like they're an important role in it, but they're just kind of like showing up to kick it off. They might be managing something, but they're not like the core part of our party in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we also need more Nero.
Yeah, he's busy having sex with his boyfriend Nero.
And inventing machines to make coffee.
Tea.
Yes. Coffee tea.
Coffee tea.
Chai.
Chai.
There we go. So what do you think is never going to come back? Do you think that we're
Minfilia?
Well, no, she's the doll.
Papalymo.
We can summon her and never ride her around.
Urshifa. Boombrita.
Oh boy.
Too fucking soon, man.
I mean, do you think we're ever gonna like utilize the Crystal Tower again? Do you think that's tapped as a source? Do you think?
I think that like anything is on the table if it makes sense to go back to it. Like I would have said that we would never see Elidibus again, and yet they actually went back to the tower and were like, yeah, so he was dusted. You know, he was collected by the tower, but he was dusted. So we're gonna like satisfy each of these audiences here, and we're gonna say we are gonna talk to him again, but it's because the computer helped put him back together. So I think like there's going to be situations like that where it's done until it's not, until they're in the middle of another story arc and they're like, hey, we could use this to make more sense of this. And I think that's when we might see it again. But that until then, a lot of things are in that same place with Xenos, that it's done until it's not, until we look in the box.
Or until we expend all of his life energy to time travel.
Can we put Xenos in the spaceship? Like sacrifice him so we can go
I
fast?
was about to say as fuel.
Man, those primals just go right through you.
They really do. Really do. I mean, I'm excited. I'm just excited to see what like trials we're going to be fighting next. Like,
Yeah.
like what's happening now? Like, or you know, like
Yeah.
they've been slipping away with something like, hey, robots and and well,
So-
on this planet,
That is something like you brought, because I remembered. What was it? In all the like previous stuff, it was like, okay, like the primals that we'll have, there's going to be Anima and there's going to be the Magus sisters, and it turns out that yes, that was true, and they weren't the trials; they were just dungeon bosses.
Yep.
Like we've had it like,
And like a
trial
first
equals
dungeon boss too.
trial equals primal for so long. And it's like no, not really, not at this point.
yeah.
I mean, it still was for this point. still
Only
primals.
on. I still feel weird calling them primals.
Still,
We
you think?
summoned them through lots and lots of ether.
It feels like someone, like, I know technically yes, but it also feels like someone's being cute with the definitions in order to tweak our noses. And that's my job.
No. All right. Well, I got one last thing, so we can get out of here. So I'll even start with Quinton.
Oh no.
Where do you want to go next? Like where do you what direction do you want it to go? Not like 6 point, not maybe not next patch, but like what do you want to head to the new world? Do you want to hear to where do you want to go?
Moose might kill me. So there's two places that I do want to go and I want to see, and they are both completely opposite things. One, I want to go see Maelstrom because I really want more Bunny Boy content. I just want to meet more of the bunnies and learn more of their backstory, their lore, their culture, their community. See more Bunny Boys in the game. Because I mean, let's face it, Aaronville was really, really good, and we need more of him and characters like him. So I would like to, I really like to see them. So that's kind of like the calm one. But the other thing that I want to see is the part that Moose might have more troubles with is I really want to see the storyline that they were talking with Unakalhai and what's his face that I'm missing the name, the boy that does the mage quest line in Shadowbringers. Get the two of them together to go and like cleanse the 13th of the darkness.
You son of a bitch. No.
I mean, I really want a story with the two of them. Like, I just like both of them as characters. They're just like very innocent and so hopeful and just full of life.
Quinton?
So I want to see stories with them. And also, if they're taking care of the 13th at the same time, that would just be kind of, yeah, Thanor. Thank you.
Is it
Quinton?
Traynor or Thanor?
Something
Is
like
this
that.
I think it's
is this a
Traynor.
Bennett
Look
Razor
up the Traynor.
situation?
Also, yes, but I mean, like, I'd ship them, yes.
Genshin
they're also,
Impact
like-
shipping
They're
reference.
also like 12 years old, so like
Dude, how old are Bennett and Razor?
probably not that old either, but like same thing. They can be very good friends. That is how I ship them.
All right. Well,
They can be romantic.
before we start writing fanfic,
Taynor.
Taynor.
Sarah, where do you want to
And
go?
no looting the children. That's a strict no. Just do not loot the children.
There we go.
No, it's very pure and innocent, and maybe they cuddle against each other.
Yes,
Yeah. They
because
make
it's
each-
cold and
Yeah.
dark.
One makes the other one soup. Tells them to blow on it. 'Cause it's hot.
Face
gotta
it,
stay
the
warm in the
12-year-old boys,
void.
they probably don't know how to make soup.
Yeah.
What else will make them soup?
Pizza rolls.
They'll just-
Well, see, technically, because of the portals thing, Théodore is actually however many 100 years old, so it's legal. See, we've got the anime loophole right there.
All right, before we go any further into the anime loophole, Sarah, where would you like to go?
Oh, see, this is why I'm the Azem on Moose's server. Like, this is just what I do.
Mhm.
Anyways, I mean, I kind of just want to take Emmett Selk's list as like a laundry list. Go all these. I like exploring. I like seeing the different sites. I usually end up getting the sightseeing log about half to 3/4 full just from incidental exploring. So just give me cool places to go, and I'm pretty good. Give me interesting sights to see, fun stories to learn about. I am not super picky on that. Also, poke through the fourth wall a bit, tweak mine and everyone else's noses, troll the hell out of me in an entertaining way, and I am good.
What about
That said, if we're going to go for a specific thing,
mhm.
I kind of want to go to that place of Corvus just because, like, okay, I had this entire thing in my head, but just like they've made reference to it, I am just amused at the fact that the Garlean name translates to pleasant place. It's like, okay, it's a nice, charming place. That's good enough. I want to go there. Let's go somewhere where there's like nice meadows and I can have a picnic, and then go down to the beach and drink Mai Tais. Give me some downtime here. Give me a beach episode. Have the dating sim that they had as an April Fool's joke back into in around Reborn days.
Who are you gonna try to date first?
Rahatia? Duh.
You get him burger and nuggets,
You knew the answer and you were waiting for that.
Yeah.
and then after that you can go take him for nuggets and burger.
Yeah. Got the sheer amount of memes of like eating burgers. All it's like super adorable. I love it.
That was one of
Also,
my favorite cutscenes. Yeah.
a friend of mine pointed out, and I am just not quite sure at this point. Is it that Grahatia himself and emanates all this romantic energy, or is it the fact that like his voice actor is openly gay and everyone's just picking up on that and assigning it to the character?
I didn't
is it
know
just
that, so
Yeah, like is that just accidentally setting off everyone's gaydar? I mean, I'm still okay with this and with Cloud Canon. It's just, oh, but he's so adorable.
I don't
Like-
know, but I think we need to learn more. We
I
should
was
do
gonna say
a,
the swooning on that side of the show ever increasing.
He's like he's trying to be so heroic, and then he's such a goddamn dork, and it's perfect. It kind. Oh my god, we need him to be a custom deliveries thing so I can put glasses on him. Then we're set.
Maybe that'll happen.
No, we could never do custom deliveries with him.
2B outfit.
I just.
No, they would make him just like shirtless with the glasses and
Oh.
just.
I mean, like. That's the thing. Like, if for his charm properly, you don't strip him naked. You keep him like adorkable and all that, but he needs the glasses.
What
Glasses
if-
are big for me.
Or it'll be the like the swimwear. So it'll just be like short sleeves, open shirt.
What if instead that you don't get to dress him, but you get to like design his burger and he gets to eat it, like and then you have dinner like once a week you get to have dinner with him with a burger you made and he gets to like critique it.
Okay, anything that adds more cooking mini games, I am good with.
All right, cool. I'll go ahead and go next. I really like the Blue Mage storyline, and it talks about the New World, and I would love to see like just from that and like that culture, and like I want to see that world. I want to see what's going on over there. I want to see more Blue Mage stuff, and it's a good way. And like, what other classes could be over there? Like, what other jobs are over? Like, I mean, because you would assume that if we're going over there, we're gonna get a new job of some sort, and I would love to see what they could possibly offer going over there. So. I know somewhere Safe, our friend Safe is like gambler.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, could work in theory if you did like a dice mechanic, but who knows? So yeah, I would love to go see the New World. I think that there's a lot of potential over there, and it's something you can always go back to, right? Like you could set up the New World, go there for an expansion, and then go do something else, and then go back there. And
There was a lot of
explore more
potential
it.
with New World, but they kind of squandered it all. So you might want to go somewhere else.
Oh no. they tried. They tried. Moose, where would you
This one's kind of like a forked answer for me. I've got like for a good of the brand answer and for the love of moose answer, and they're like in totally different worlds. But I think like I'm gonna offer an olive branch on the void thing though, because I think like the thing that made the whole save the void movement so triggering for me is because it was like it was all the people who were like, Heidelin is evil because I want to transform into something immortal and powerful and beautiful and marry Emmett Selk, and she took that from me. And so, like, those are the people who are like, yeah, we're gonna, just shove Eden into the void, and then my OC is canon, and like that's where it was coming from, and that's where it like started to like hit those parts in my mind, like for years, the lore of the void has just been it's destroyed. There's no ether there. The ether there has been annihilated. You can't come back from it. The things there are just essences that can never be alive or dead. And Yoshida's probably never going to give up Void Send as like a plot device. But I do think it's possible to branch off of that void story that we've seen so far with Unukal High and Tainor and start like we do that thing where this year inside the time bubble, all we do is we reach into the void and we somehow reclaim an island, like something small, and we use that as the point of view to explore what is and is not still in the void, where there is and is not hope, and what we can and cannot do. And therefore, regardless of whether you save it, you get an image of what the future looks like. And I think that could be like a really powerful thing to explore because there's so much. They have a point. There's so much cool shit in there. There's so much cool art in there. There's so much OC potential in there. And I think to shoot all that down because I want to be Scrooge about it is wrong. Like, that's wrong. I'm not going to do that. So I want to offer an olive branch on the void thing and say that it only makes me mad if we save the entire void with some convoluted thing that makes everybody's OC canon.
I mean, we haven't even replenished all of Eden yet, so. Also, I feel obligated to note that the patch after this happens, top question in the next live letter, void housing when?
I just want my apartment on the first. I want a Crystarium apartment so bad. All right, anyway,
I want a Raktika apartment.
For the good of the brand, I think the right place to go is the new world first, because you get to again keep pushing that Yoshida narrative that it's not over. There's a whole new world out there to explore.
New horizons. Oh, we're gonna get demonetized.
And I agree with Flatus 100%. There's so much potential there. The Wallaki, the Mamuk Empire, where like the nation's trying to explore it, the nation's trying to exploit it, the nation's trying to trade with it. There's so much potential for a powerful story with a lot of conflict. And if you throw the Warrior of Light into that, it's going to be chaos. And I think that would be really powerful to explore because of what we saw in the Garlemald arc.
You could even start putting in more than one New World Native American culture.
Yeah,
like maybe not have them all be one tribe.
Yeah.
Maybe like Pueblo peoples or something. That would be cool. I don't feel like they get enough love.
But for and if they'll handle it well. Always the problem.
The good of the brand is one thing.
I don't know what you're talking about. Japan has traditionally handled complex racial issues with style and aplomb.
Abort!
You wanted me as a guest. I feel the need to remind you.
I am very curious as to what Moose's ideal scenario is going to be.
So, like, the good of the brand versus the love of Moose? Like,
yeah, the love of Moose.
The ideal is I just want to go back to Silver Tier. I want to wrap that up so bad. It was the real focus of 1.0, and I want it off of my checklist. I want to go do something awesome with Silver Tier Lake and see the rest of what Eorzea has to offer.
Do you think we'll real quick and we'll get out of here? Do you think Silver Tier will be like what leads us in? Like we'll finish up, but then leads us into whatever is happening next? Because that's something we can theoretically finish.
I would kill for 6.1 to 6.5 to be Eorzea 2 mini expansion. I would kill for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I think that's something that needs to be checked off.
Chad is pointing out about the myths of the 12. Potential there.
there is potential there. I feel like as a 1.0 player, somehow I did get a lot of what I wanted out of Endwalker. I can't believe that I got as much as I did want out of Endwalker. And all that's left on the table for me is just to wrap up Silver Tier at this point, and I am down to go anywhere. But I feel like we are not totally tetherless yet. We have that one string still tied around our ankle.
Yeah. His White Ravens are legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And no one will ever know.
And nobody asked about it last night during the Q&A. What's under...
Put a question in that.
Yeah, like, oh, that... Or that someone did and they avoided it. Someone did ask that question, maybe Moose, and they saw it. They're like, no.
Which question?
Like, what happened with Silver Tier? What's going on over
Next
there?
live lore question.
Yeah.
I do want to say, like, I agree with you with the Void thing. Like, I think it'd be really cool if the Void reclamation piece was like a long multi-year arc that we only see like a glimpse of every patch or every expansion or whatnot,
cool.
and it kind of slowly grows, kind of like we did like the Firmament expansion, right? Like have it like a slow reclamation process and do the rest of the story in the meantime, but we always go back to it as kind of like a, hey, what's going on in the Void?
Now that would be...
Right, I'd love to...
I was gonna say that would be really interesting. Like, do like this slow drip, and then all of a sudden doing a whole, like, once we get to a point where it's like, now we can do the expansion on it. Like, we've been like spoon feeding.
We build the staging area,
yes,
and then we can push.
Yep.
I think
it would be something where you'd have to turn some of the option, like Crystal Tower used to be optional and then became required. And with this one, it would be the, okay, you have to have all the role quests done in order to be able to. So that might be a bit of a bigger ask, unless they change the requirements somehow.
I just think there's a huge difference between providing hope and structure for what it might look like in the future and going all in.
I thought we'd learned that we shouldn't just go into a culture and assume that we're going to fix all their problems after Alamigo and Doma and the first.
The Warrior of Light learning
pattern.
lessons. They barely have a functional memory.
Who are you again?
It creators. And
Wow.
Right in the jugular.
Well, with that, Moose, Seyrr, thank you both for being on. Moose, where can everybody find you?
I haven't even found myself.
Mood.
You're right there.
Somewhere
At
in the
Anonymoose
void.
XIV on Twitter, Onwyll ANWYLL on Twitch. I'm really hoping to find the free time to stream again soon. Gamer Escape, their like Discord lore room, pretty much anywhere with a lore room. But other than that, yeah, I'm still trying to find myself.
You're saying
Thanks so much for inviting me, though.
You're saying if we had a lore room,
Thank
we'll
you
just
for
show
coming
up to
back.
it.
If you had have a lore room, like basically what happens is I set up all the lore rooms to ping me when people talk in those, and those are all the rooms I talk in. I have like one server that's just all lore rooms, is what it is.
Perfect.
But yes, thank you for the invite. I'm always honored to be here.
Seyrr?
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FF14Seyrr, FFXIVSEYRR, because I did not give myself an easy to spell name for some reason. Various Discords as well. I mostly just follow Moose around. I'm his Hythlodeus to his Emmett Selk. You know that's accurate, dude. Let's see. But yeah, lore rooms are great. I like doing that. I will inevitably turn stuff into a cooking room.
Mm-hmm. Accurate.
Yeah, I also like talking about lore stuff. I feel like I should be saying more here, and I don't know how I was. Oh, right, Phoenix Down Radio. Klaus is gonna kill me.
Wait for it.
Klaus is gonna kill me. Yes, I am also one of the hosts of Phoenix Down Radio, which you can find on. God, he has a whole spiel about this. He's always the one who gives it. Something about Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. There's a whole bunch of dealies. You can just search for Phoenix Down Radio. I say words.
All the podcast places you can find a podcast, you will probably find Phoenix Down Radio.
I mean, probably. Honestly, he puts in a lot of the work to actually make it functional, and I just show up and verbally shitpost for about 2 hours.
Me too.
Woo! High five.
And with that, Team Maelstrom Radio, Monday. We do game streams Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. GMT. Our game night next Saturday will be another. Next week will be another Saturday show. We have Farthest Goose. He shows up and he's great, and he's been around for a long time, and he's a UK friend. So we will be doing Saturday again. That means next Friday will be a game night. That'll be at our normal time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. EST. I'm sorry, 9 p.m. ET and 2 a.m. GMT. And of course, when we reach 777 followers, there will be a Kigurumi stream. No one has figured out Quinton's Kigurumi yet. Speaking of Quinton, we did it. We made the goal, so he will be doing a solo stream, and he wants to just get your ideas of what he should be streaming. So, like, what game should he stream for his solo stream?
Send them to our Twitter account, because otherwise we'll miss it somewhere.
Yeah. So.
Please. Or email them to us. You can email us suggestions or whatever you want. And
but not a 300 not a 300-hour JRPG.
What's that
the
dating
plan is
game
for
with the
one
pigeons?
stream.
Oh,
Hatoful boyfriend.
Hatoful boyfriend.
Hatoful boy.
There we go. I might suggest Dream Daddy.
Space Channel 5.
There you go.
I didn't mean to, I swear. It is legally binding.
Well, with that, thank you everybody for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you all on Monday. And with that, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to also hang around for everybody. We're going to be rating somebody. But thank you all. As always, till sea swallows all. Keep listening.
Maelstrom Radio is brought to you by maelstromradio.com and Blackfire Media. Produced by Flatus, Shintier, and Susan Sprinkle. Join us live Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/maelstromradio. Send email to show@maelstromradio.com, tweet us at maelstrom_radio, or join our Discord at maelstromradio.com/discord. Views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests do not reflect the views and opinions of any companies discussed on today's show.